Hi, I'm Michael McPadden from the Tango API team, here with another tutorial for Tango's Mobile Procurement REST API, known as MobProc for short. In this video, I'll guide you through how to create and submit an order request to procure a new device and service plan, often referred to as a new activation. This type of order can also include accessories for the new device that you're ordering. Please note that this is different from the order accessories transaction type, which is used to order accessories for an existing device asset. Okay, now let's discuss how we put together the order request call. There are 4 basic steps to creating an order request. Authentication, which is the verification that the user making the API call is actually who they claim to be. Furthermore, users are authenticated with every API call. In this API, request headers are primarily used to refine context. Common examples include executing a transaction on behalf of another user, sometimes known as the quote-unquote actor, or using certain headers to tag a single call or a group of related calls with a unique identifier that can be used to locate these calls in an activity log file on the server. For a detailed overview of what headers are available and how they are used, please check out our video library for a video entitled Request Headers. The request body, written in JSON, is the heart of the order request. It contains all of the data needed by the source system to process the order. In a minute, I'll show you how to assemble that JSON. The final aspect of an order request is indicating whether or not you want the request back as a confirmation or if you're submitting the request for processing. Typically, you want a confirmation back before submitting the order. As you'll see, the order confirmation returns all of the IDs passed in by the request body JSON, along with human-readable data that fully describes what was referenced by those IDs, such as device name, vendor, price, etc. This is very useful for API consumers who want to present the order request back to their end user so that they can verify it for accuracy. When the order is submitted, if successful, the API will return an HTTP status code of 200 along with various data describing the order details, including the newly assigned order number. If not successful, an error status code along with error information will be returned instead. Okay, before I demonstrate placing an order via our developer portal, first just want to tell you about the data that must be included in the JSON request body. The transaction type, new activation, indicates that you wish to procure a new device and/or service, and possibly some new accessories for that device. The external order number is an order number, tracking number, or some other cross-reference generated by the carrier who provides the service. It's a helpful cross-reference back to that carrier's ordering system. The region ID is needed to indicate the country in which the device or service will be used. This is used for validating device and service selections to make sure that they will be properly supported where the user intends to use them. The postal code is only needed when the selected region is the United States. Some service carriers have additional restrictions that will need to be evaluated. The shopping cart contains the IDs for the catalog items you wish to procure. The properties block contains the order properties that are used by the carrier to fulfill the order. Please note that the set of properties can vary somewhat for different carriers, even though the transaction type is the same. For more info on that, please refer to our video entitled How to Obtain Order Properties. And lastly, the shipping information. This contains a properly formatted delivery address, along with a flag to indicate if the delivery should be expedited. Okay, now let's go to the developer portal and see how to make a call to procure a new device, a service plan with some optional features, along with some new accessories. First thing we'll do is click on the API reference page link to take us into the area of the developer portal where we can exercise the endpoints. The endpoint in particular that we're looking for is the /orders endpoint. And as we scroll down, we'll see 2 tabs, one for the HTTP GET method and one for the POST method. Since we're submitting an order, we want to do the POST method. Click on that tab, and here we'll click on the Try It link to get our input form. Okay, then we will just simply go to the authentication. I'm going to put in my client ID. You will have received one from Tango for your particular client ID. Scroll down to our headers, enter my tenant. Again, this is a code that you'll also be given by Tango to identify your particular instance, along with my client ID again here in the headers. Okay. As I said earlier, you want to first just submit a confirmation so that we can verify all the details of the order before we actually submit it. So I'm going to check that box and go down to our request body JSON. You'll notice here that we've defaulted to the new activation order template. I'm going to just select it and replace it with my own so I can show you how we can build one from scratch. Okay. First thing we'll enter in here is the external order number. I'm just making one up here. This would be a cross-referencing back to the carrier's ordering system. So it would be whatever string that they had provided you. Next, we have our transaction type. And then our region ID. I'll enter my country code for the United States. as well as my postal code. The postal code is just an extra validation that's required for carriers in the United States because there are certain restrictions in various areas of the country. And next we will add in our shopping cart. Now this is the heart of the request JSON. These are the actual items that we want to be ordered. So we'll go to our catalog/devices to get the devices that we can choose from to order. And then next we would go to the catalog/plans. And in that call for catalog/plans, you want to note that there is a query parameter for compatible with device ID. And we can put that device ID that we put here into there to get back the plans that are compatible for that particular device. Now, depending on the plan that we ordered, there may be some additional features that we can also select. The IDs for these features can be entered in the optional features ID array. I'm going to add 2 in here. And lastly, you can also select accessories for the device that you had previously selected, entering their accessory catalog IDs in the accessory IDs array. To get a list of the accessories that work with your device, just make a call to the catalog/accessories endpoint and enter the device catalog ID in the compatible with device query filter parameter. So I'll just add 2 accessories in here as an example. Okay, next we'll add our order properties. And as you can see, we have a couple of different order properties. I added the 3 required ones as well as 1 additional optional one. As described in another video, we use the order/properties endpoint to get these properties. And these are the ones that are supported for this particular vendor and transaction type. So I'll first just enter my contact number. This is the phone number of where the vendor can contact me if they have questions. My preferred area code for the new service. And in this particular case, there was reason choices. These were reasons why this new order was being placed. Again, just something required for this particular combination and vendor that we're ordering for. I put in the choice of 1. When we got our properties, and you can see in that other video, you'll have seen all the valid choice options that I choose from. But definitely watch that video for more information on that, as well as some additional instructions. Again, this is just an optional one. But sometimes it is helpful when you need to pass that information. Okay, and lastly, we'll go down to our ship to block. This is where we insert our shipping information that's needed to know where to send the order. Please note that it must include all of the address components that are required for shipping to the country of destination in order for it to be valid, in this case, the United States. So we will have this particular structure. For more details on how to assemble these components, please watch the video entitled Shipping Information for an Order Request. Okay, so I will enter in my shipping, as well as my name, who it's being shipped to, my region, which again is the country code for the United States, city, state, and zip code. And as well as you see the expedite flag set to true, asking that it be shipped in the quickest way possible. Okay, then we will submit our confirmation and scroll down to our response. As you can see, our request was successfully processed, so here we see our confirmation response. Notice how our IDs were used by the source system to look up the related details and return them. An API consumer can use this response and present it back to their end user for them to verify. But let me just point out a few specific parts of this order confirmation. First, notice that the entire response is wrapped in a block named order confirmation. This is how you can tell that you're in that mode and not in the order submission mode. Next, we might notice that the source system was able to infer some valuable information from our login, headers, and other elements within the request body. So for example, you can see the account holder contains employee detail records for the logged in user, which is also the person who this order happens to be being placed on behalf of. We can also see the cost summary block that summarizes the one-time and recurring costs associated with the catalog items that we're ordering. And we see the external order number that we passed in with the request just being returned, as well as our postal code. Down in our order properties, we can see that the IDs and values that we supplied in our request body has now been transformed into human readable data as well. These labels are helpful for not only the API consumer to help them better understand the nature of these properties, because in some cases these IDs could be a little cryptic, but it is also helpful if they wish again to display this information back to their end user for their verification. We also see the requested by block. Because I'm placing the order for myself, the account holder and requested by blocks contain just my employee details and are identical. However, if we wanted to place an order on behalf of a different employee, we would use the xtango context employee ID header or the xtango context company employee ID header to indicate some other employee that we wish to order on behalf of. If we had done that, then you would see the account holder block would then contain the information of this different employee that we're ordering on behalf of. And the requested by block, since I'm the one placing the order, would still contain my information. Okay, next, let's look at the ship to block. This again has all the information for where we're shipping this order to. And below that, the shopping cart. And this is probably the most important block. This contains all the details describing the items that have been ordered. And if you look at the block for the plan, see the device, and then the plan, and you can note that this plan block also contains a block nested inside it for the optional features. And finally at the bottom, you'll see our transaction type. Okay, so that's an order confirmation. I'm going to scroll back up and show you how to now submit this order for processing. And doing so is really quite simple. And we'll just uncheck the confirm box. All the information in our request body is still the same, still holds true. So we will then submit this for order processing. Okay, you'll notice that this response is very similar to what we had received back for the order confirmation, with two very notable differences. First, we'll see our order ID. That order ID has now been added because the order has been submitted, and the order ID identifier is very important to the end user since it is what they will use most often to locate the details and status about this pending or processed order. Also, if we scroll to the bottom, we'll see the status property is now set to order submitted. And the second really notable difference is, let me scroll up to where you saw the shopping cart previously. You'll notice that the shopping cart has now been replaced with an order segments block. Often an order will be sent in one single shipment when it is fulfilled entirely by one third party, but orders can sometimes be divided into multiple segments and then be fulfilled via multiple shipments. There's one thing I want to point out about the contents of this block. If you look at the meta block, you'll see it contains an href history URI, which represents the API call for getting a list of history events that occurred in relation to this order, and the href shipments URI, which targets a call to get details concerning a specific shipment. Notice that the order segment parameter at the end of the query string is unique, and this is the ID for that one particular order shipment. So there it is. You've successfully created a new activation order request, confirmed the order, and successfully submitted it for processing. If the source system has a workflow attached to this type of order, then it might be forwarded on to a manager's approval queue or some other step. Also, using the order ID that was returned in the response, you can then make an API call to get order details and easily determine its current state. For greater detail about some of the areas I discussed, I recommend watching a few of our other videos, including the ones for setting request headers, obtaining order properties, and how to construct the shipping information block for an order request. Each of these videos provides helpful explanations of how to complete these particular areas of your request. I hope you found this video useful. For more information and tutorials on other topics, we recommend browsing the MobProc API video library at mobproc.tv and our documentation website at mobproc.info. That's all for now. Thanks for watching and have a great day.